Broadcasting to you from Trailer Island in the heart of Louisville, Kentucky. It's the internet's #1 party talk show, the Sam and Dan Nation. All right, folks, this is a very special interview we did with the one and only cult horror icon, the sexy, seductive, talented Miss Elske McCain. The audio was a little choppy, so we tried to clean it up as best we can. It's a great interview nonetheless, so sit back and relax as we pick the brain of one of the most beautiful and intelligent women in the horror industry. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Elske McCain. Miss Elske McCain, fantastic to have you on the program. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I am wonderful. We are wonderful. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to have you here. How are you?
I'm great. It's my birthday today.
Day to you. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's very, very, very cool. So, thank you for being on the Sam and Dan Nation. It's an honor to have you here. We're very excited. We're not going to take up too much of your time, but we want to talk to you for a little bit. First of all, for our listeners, for those who don't have an internet connection or have just been living under a rock for the last few years,
or in their mother's basements without an internet connection,
or in their mother's basements without an internet connection, tell us a little bit about who you are. Who is Elske McCain?
Well, I am essentially I am a dancer, an exotic dancer with children, and I got involved with the independent film scene around 2004, and started doing the convention circuit and did some festivals, and along the way met some really great people, some not so great, but mostly great. And basically through my internet connections via horror forums where I used to collect DVDs with fellow collectors, and my MySpace, which developed into kind of its own thing. I just worked on several lower-budget independent movies over the years, starting about in 2005. I did the first one, I did a short, and then in 2006 I did my first feature. And I think I've probably done maybe 20, 25 movies, in my short, career since then. And I've held a pretty good internet presence because basically I was a fan prior to becoming an actress. So my fellow we're all fans, nerdy collectors. It's kind of like I just happened to be in the right place at the right time and ended up being on the other side of the camera and working in movies. So I went into the business as sort of a fangirl and really excited, to meet everyone and try to get autographs and stuff. And then, as you work and you learn, you realize that basically everyone is, they're regular people. Nobody's a hero. Nobody's, magical. Everyone is just pretty much regular, and the movie industry is just another industry. And
right.
There's, good side and bad sides. And I just been working out, I started acting, and then I did some producing on the shorts, and definitely, I eventually executive produced a feature, and, the rest is history.
Awesome, awesome, very cool. So, you command a crazy internet presence. That's awesome. You have like 100,000 followers.
I'm sure it really helps that, you actually do enjoy horror. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of horror actresses that just do it because that's the type of work they've specifically been getting.
Right,
and,
right.
Yeah, a lot of the actresses kind of use the horror genre as a stepping stone, and they don't even like horror movies. As I'm more of just I love them, and that was the main reason why I wanted to do it. If I didn't like horror movies, it kind of would have defeated the purpose of getting into it in the first place.
Right. What? Let me ask, what got you interested in acting?
I guess it was just encouragement from people that I met after I'd done, I'd done some modeling stints online, and people were asking me, what movies have you been in? And I really hadn't done any. And I was like, God, so many people are interested in seeing my movies, and I haven't done a movie. Maybe I should do one. So me and my friends here in Tucson started making some for fun. I just did it for fun back then, and didn't really realize come out of it until, we started submitting our shorts into festivals, and, they actually get accepted, and then you go to the festival, and you meet other more established filmmakers, and actually some of them are still my friends, and, I kind of went along for the ride, and when parts were offered to me, I was lucky enough to get them, and I never really turned down an opportunity until recently, now that I'm a little bit more jaded, but back then I was just excited to do anything. I'd pay my own ticket to fly to, New York or wherever just to be in a movie, because I figured, everyone has to start somewhere. You don't just come from nowhere and people are buying plane tickets and giving you $1,500 a day. You gotta kind of work your way up to that level.
Well, so now in your career, you have kind of really truly amassed sort of a cult movie icon following, which is awesome. A lot of people, they don't even do that in their lifetime. So that's awesome. What is that like? What's it like being kind of a cult movie icon with the the Jessica Rabbit thing? I mean, it's people definitely know who you are. So
I definitely appreciate it. It's I love all the fans. They're kind to me, and the awesome people that I've met. But on the flip side, it does leave me a lot more exposed to bullies and people who just have nothing better to do than pick on you. Right. So it's great to have this massive fan base, but on the other side of it, I'm not making a lot of money off of it. Even with Jessica Rabbit, it's that was kind of a big disappointment for me, because I spent a huge chunk of my life working on the movie. We filmed it in 2007 and got released late, December of last year, and and then you think, this is it, where's the payoff? And now I'm just actually more in debt than I have been throughout any of the process of the movie making, and then you're just wow, this is really how it is, huh? So, that's why I'm, kind of changing directions, but I'm going to kind of go into more adult-oriented world, because, actually, most of my fans, I don't say most, I'll say a lot of them, are guys who, they want to, check out boobs or body or whatever. And and the funny thing is, most of the time these movies are really low budget, and I can't even say I'm proud of all of them. There's probably 4 or 5 that I'm proud of. The rest are kind of just I did it for the money or did it for the, experience. But I think that this fan base that I have created, they will finally get some more payoff where they don't have to wait around for 2 years, when I announce, I'm going to be shooting this movie. And then, the movie goes into post-production for a year. And then finally when and if it gets distributed, they can buy it for $20 or whatever, and then I'm in it for maybe 20 minutes or whatever, and you can see me naked briefly. And so I'm thinking in my head, how everyone's been waiting for these movies to come out just to get a glimpse of this or that, and if I were a guy, I'd be kind of disappointed, to have to wait, and this might be a good thing for a lot of these guys, and maybe some of the girls who kind of cut to the chase and save some time. Because, nobody's getting any younger, and some of these movies I shot 4 years ago, 5 years ago are coming out, and to be honest, I've actually, lost a lot of weight. So I was actually watching one of the movies I did last night. I was watching a Splatter movie, and I was I thought I looked good back then, and nobody ever said anything, but I kind of look at it, I'm 15 or 20 pounds lighter now. I'm these guys have no idea. If they are referencing my movies, even Jessica Rabbit, to, get my image, it's I don't even look like that anymore. So I think they're going to be very happy with the results.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I've lost a lot of weight and just I have a different style or look, I guess.
No question about it. You look fantastic. You really do. You really do.
Thank you.
Okay, so we know that you love horror films, slasher films in particular. What are some of your favorite horror films, and why? Why do you? Because we know you've written some stuff and directed some stuff. What are some of your favorite horror films?
It's funny because this is one of the questions I get asked a lot, and when I read through my older interviews, my list tends to change every time, by 3 or 4 movies. It's funny now because when I've met so many jerks, or in the business, a lot of the movies that I used to enjoy a lot I can't even watch anymore because like the director, the writer, or whoever, the star was like a complete jerk to me in person or online. So I'm like, I don't even want to plug your movie ever again. So look back at my old interviews and like, God, there I am kissing this guy's ass and he hates me. I'm like, God, why am I promoting these jerks? So, like, to be honest, like the one movie, the certain movies that I can still fall back on as reliable as my favorites are the old slashers, like all the Friday the 13th movies, all the Nightmare on Elm Street, all the Halloweens. I can watch any of those, and like they're my favorites. And those I don't think I'll ever change. Even if one guy from one of the Nightmare on Elm Streets is a jerk, which hasn't happened. Actually, I don't think I've had a bad experience with anybody in any of those movies. I think those are my favorites, and those are the ones that I've watched the most. And my favorite horror film of all time is still Fright Night. And to be honest, one of the actors from that movie was kind of weird with me, but I still love it, and that'll never change. Well, and then another one of the actors, William Ragsdale, who plays Charlie, he was really cute. I've met him a couple times, and he's always really cute and charming and handsome. And it's like that movie. I used to watch when I was 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 when it came out. And to think that, like, when I was a kid and I was watching it and I had such a crush on him and that he's flirting with me now, I'm like, wow, he's so cute. So he still holds up. He still holds up after all these years. Chris Sarandon's much older. I went to the Fright Night reunion in L.A. in 2008 where I got to meet the whole cast and crew and the director. And, Tom Holland is awesome. He's a really cool guy. But, yeah, it's just Fright Night, definitely. I'll plug that one. I saw the remake recently, and though I won't say it's the worst remake I've seen, it's kind of a joke. It's almost like a parody where it's like I can't watch it as like a Fright Night remake. Like it just never will be that. But I can watch it on the outside. Like okay, as a whole, it's a good movie. It's well made and got some funny stuff. But I personally don't like remakes. There's a few that are they stand up from the pack. I like the I Spit on Your Grave remake, and I like the Last Stop on the Left remake. Certain ones like that, the remakes were actually really well done. The Halloween remake, I kind of flip-flopped because when it first came out, I did not like it. I was just really disappointed. So I think I just pumped it up too much in my head because I love Rob Zombie's music so much. And I loved House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Reject so much, and I loved everyone from those movies. And then when I saw the Halloween remake, I was like, they kind of missed the mark. But after years have passed, and to be honest, for some reason, the Halloween 2 remake I like a lot more than the first one.
So it kind of made me. I do too. I really do too.
Yeah,
I like the Halloween
and if you listen to the commentary, you realize Rob Zombie actually did not have very much time to work on Halloween 2, and they kind of just made him hurry up and do it. And I think he did a better job. I just think it has more of an artistic vision, and I don't know, I think the characters they're well developed. I really relate with the character of Laurie Strode in the remake, because in part 2 in particular, because I just feel like her a lot of the times, and I always feel like if they ever made a movie about me, I'd want Scout Thompson Taylor, because she reminds me of myself, in her scenes with the psychiatrist, and her she's just so angry and she hates everyone, and sometimes I really like that. And so after the Halloween 2, I really got attached to that. Now I go back and watch the first Halloween remake, and I appreciate it a lot more. So I really regret any negativity that I may have said in any of my earlier interviews back in 2007, where I didn't like it. Now I actually do. Just time kind of makes you look at things a little bit different.
Oh no, for sure, yeah. Well, like my old man, he knows Rob Zombie, they've fucking hung out and shit. Like I used to love. I love his music, man. I love Rob Zombie's music, but God help me, the first Halloween that came out, I was like, Jesus Christ. I gotta be honest, I hated it. But
I think it would have been fine had it been his own thing and not co-opting the Halloween
concept, from John Carpenter. But at the same time, when I saw Halloween 2, he's kind of merged it into his own thing in a way, with Halloween 2, and I dig it. I really dig it.
I think Rob Zombie relates to Michael Myers, the character, and so I think the remakes are more of Rob Zombie exposing himself, like as if he, you know, that's why I think in Halloween 2, when Michael removes his mask, and he actually kind of looks like Rob Zombie. Weird and stuff. And I thought to myself, like, you know, this is Rob Zombie's way of showing us how he relates to Michael Myers in a way. So I think one of the main reasons I didn't like Halloween as much at first is because I always looked at Michael Myers in the John Carpenter movies as autistic, because he didn't speak and he was just like, you know, kind of in his own world. And then, you know, in the remake, he's just like a little bratty kid, and he's whiny, and I'm just like, you know, I didn't like that. But
well, you know, Tyler Mane, man, we got drunk.
He's
with
a big guy,
but he's a great dude, man. He's a really cool guy, and we love his acting. So, all right, so let me ask you this: what are some of your least favorite horror films? Just out of curiosity, what are some you don't like?
You know, the irony of it is the least favorite horror movies to me right now are anything from Trauma, because I've just had such a, you know, I guess you'd say a breakup with them as a whole, as a company, to where, like, it's sad because, you know, when I was at Hard Times and I had to sell DVDs out of my collection, I always kept my Trauma movies because I had, like, a special place in my heart, and most of them are signed. And now, with all the bitterness and, like, that has happened with them recently, I'm just like, I look at my DVD collection and it's pathetic. I'm like, how do I have all these Trauma movies? I'll never watch them again, ever. You know, even my own movie, Jessica Rabbit, I have a hard time watching it, you know, because the times I'll catch myself watching it is, like, if I get really depressed, sometimes I'll watch it just to remind myself of achievements and accomplishments and, like, what can happen if you really persist and don't give up. At the same time, like, I'm not friends with anyone in the movie that helped me work on it. Like, I kind of relegate it to, like, being in a band, and, like, whereas people pay more attention to the lead singer, you know, like the Doors. Like, you know, everyone remembers Jim Morrison, and, like, people really wanted him, and they wanted his pictures and stuff, and the rest of the band kind of fell to the wayside. I think a lot of that is kind of how it works in the movie industry, too, because, I mean, my best friends all helped me on Jessica Rabbit, and yet I only speak to, like, maybe one or two of them, you know. Trent Haga is probably one of the only ones, and Jason Foster, you know, but everyone else, like, either we just had a falling out, or they just decided that they hate me, or I don't know if they got jealous because people were paying more attention to me. You know, the director and we definitely don't speak anymore.
They're jealous. They're jealous. Haters gonna hate.
Yeah, that's what I get. That's what I gather, because I mean, the movie, you know, making that movie changed me as a person, but, like, I'm for Elske, and we still, like, you know, I remember what we went through when we made that movie, and we all did it because we all had a love for what we were doing. It's not like we were doing it for the money. We were doing it because we really liked the idea and, like, wanted to, you know, create art. We were comparing it to Evil Dead and The Devil's Rejects while we were making it. Like, this is going to be so cool. Like, oh, this is fun. And it's like, I think to myself, like, what happened? Like, why does everyone hate me now? You know, why don't they just remember what we went through? I mean, I guess I must be the one that just went. I feel like I went through the most because I paid for it, and I'm still paying for it. And we filmed it at my home. So if you got to think, like, you're living basically on a set for, like, nearly a year, to where, like, I had to basically live in Jessica Rabbit's house. And so, like, everybody could go home at the end of the day, back to their hotels or back to their house, but, like, I'm stuck here at this house, and, like, we had painted it and had all these weird tacky props and paintings and posters, and, like, I couldn't really take them down. We had, like, you know, the lighting set up and all the marks taped on the ground and, like, extension cords everywhere, and I just had to leave it like that for a year. So it's like, to me, it's like, it kind of made me, like, freak out at night, or I'd be, like, laying in bed, like, where am I? Am I at Else's house, or am I in the movie here? It's like, this is really weird. I don't think anybody else can really say they've done that. I mean, to, like, actually live on your set of the movie for, like, nearly a year, it's just something that, like, people have never. I would never recommend shooting a movie at your house ever. I mean, it trashes your house. It's like everybody knew where I lived. I would be scared that, like, the extras would come over and, like, try to rape me or something. Because especially with the context of the movie, you know. And then I was a dancer. I was like, I'm just asking for it here. I'm scared. I live alone, you know. And yeah, but, you know, I would still, you know, if any of those people from Jessica Rabbit are listening, you know, I'm still here, and I don't hate any of you. I just, you know, the movie really broke me emotionally and financially, and, you know, I'm really grateful that it got released, and I'm thankful to Trauma for that. But at the end of the day, I still ask myself, was it worth it? And sometimes I think it wasn't, but actually, I lean towards, yeah, it was, because if I wouldn't have done it, then, well, it's not that if I wouldn't have done it, if I wouldn't have persisted, because there were a lot of times during the production, 5 years, production, shooting it and post, where I was like the odds were against me, and I had to keep paying for stuff that would just show up out of nowhere. And I did it because I didn't want to give up, and I didn't want to disappoint everyone that had worked on it. And in the end, it is what it is. Some people really like the movie. Some people don't like it. I think a lot of people don't look at it. It's not really fair, when people review a movie like Jessica Rabbit and they try to compare it to like a movie that's made for like $20 million. Because we made it for like 20. It started at $5,000, but at the end of the day, it ended up costing me nearly $30,000. And I'm, and I paid for it all. I had a couple investors who helped out, and I still owe them money. And after that, I thought that when the movie got released, I'd at least make enough to pay off my investor, at the very least. And to think that, they're not giving me anything, or, if I am getting something, I wouldn't know about it because nobody over there was telling me anything. And it's almost like the Troma has a linebacker who stays between you and the money. And, you got to go through this guy, and he's just he's a compulsive liar. He will tell you, lies, like your check's in the mail, your check's coming here. Oh, we sent it to the wrong address. And then he's like, oh, the check's not worth it. You're not getting any money, so we're not even going to bother sending you this or that. And I'm just like, well, why did you tell me you were going to send me a check and then you never do? And then they just are quiet. And, I used to be such good friends with Lloyd Kaufman, and it's just disappointing to me that after 8 years of being affiliated with them as a company, I've been so loyal and, I know all the stories, about people getting burned and people never making money, but you think you've been affiliated with some people for 8 years, and you're like you said, I have a huge fan base, and I'm out there pumping the movie and promoting it, and every time there's a review or an interview, talking about them, and then at the end of the day, they're ignoring me. And they're just like, well, thanks for the free movie. Sorry we ruined your life. I'm like, oh, my God. It's true. Anything you hear about them is basically true. Even if you're, their best supporter, at the end of the day, they're just they just screw people over and take money. And, people like James Gunn and Trey Parker, who are still friends with Lloyd and Troma, in my head, I think, why? Because, Campbell, they didn't get any money for Campbell, and, I don't think James Gunn made money on Troma and Juliet or whatever. But I think that those guys are, already had money, or, didn't, depend on them, or, scratch anything. So they were, not really hurt as I was from, I'm finally going to get paid, and then I didn't get anything, and I'm like, damn it, I'm broke. And, now I got, I've got, all these fans, and they're like, what are you going to do now? And I'm like, I'm going to quit. We're going to be poor now because I hate everybody. They just made me they just made me a jaded person, not just Troma, but everyone in the industry. You just get burned enough times, you turn into you can either be the kind of girl who just kisses everyone's ass and takes orders and is polite. And those are the kind of people that make it, I guess. And I'm more independent and I'm more outspoken, and I guess that basically hurts me in a way. I mean, I think it helps me in production. I'm a good leader, and I'm good at telling people what to do and how things should be done. But when it's turned around and I'm an actor on set, and some director or producer is telling me something, and in my head I know it's not the smart way or the cost-effective way or the time-effective way. If I do speak up, then all of a sudden they're like, get back in line, lady, you're just an actor. And I'm like, okay, I should have just kept my mouth shut. But then at the end of the day, most of those movies never came out because they didn't get enough coverage, or, the lighting was bad, or the sound didn't come out, or whatever. And it's hey, I could have told you when we were shooting that this was going to happen, but nobody wanted to listen to me. So, well, that's why I've done 30 movies, but you could probably buy maybe 8 of them, or 10 maybe if you're lucky.
Well, I mean, you're a fantastic actress, and obviously you have a skill for writing. You're fantastic at what you've written and your your screenplays. I'm just curious. Would you ever consider writing and directing another film?
I actually am. I'm actually bound to do a film, whether it be it'll probably be a short. It just depends because we have this Indiegogo with Trauma. I thought it was a Trauma. Apparently, it was one of their employees who was kind of bilking his position to lead us on. And a bunch of my fans donated to this Indiegogo, thinking that I was going to be in the Return to Nukem High because that's what they're shooting this summer. And he's like, we're going to get Elske. They're like, we're going to get Elske to New York this summer to shoot a movie. And when I found out 3 months after he had gotten the money, it wasn't. And I was like, well, what movie? They never gave me They never gave me a title or a script to any other movie to lead me to believe it would be anything other than the Return to Nukem High. So basically, what happened was I was so shocked that they were going to actually fly me out to New York, and at the same time they're filming the Nukem High, and I'm not going to be in that. What am I going to be in out there? So it ended up being this huge dramatic conclusion where I ended up getting back most of the fans' money, and they basically signed me over the money and saying you're now responsible to either give them back their money or shoot a film. So I basically told everyone that donated. One guy in particular named Colin, who donated almost $1,000. He's going to be executive producer. Another friend of mine donated $500. He'll probably be a producer. And everyone else who gave even 25 or 50 or 100, I'll list them as associate producers. And when I get my own finances back together here, I'm going to end up shooting a movie on my own camera. And I'm not sure what it is yet. I originally was working on a movie with another really close friend of mine, and it revolving around a Ouija board, and it got a lot of press in Fangoria and some other websites. And that friendship kind of fell apart over a year, and I was kind of sad about that. I still am. And it makes me think, should I still do that movie? Because it was my original idea, and I wrote it. And I might, actually, if I can figure out a way to shoot it for $2,000, real low budget style. Or, if I wanted to really take the money and just make a short film, direct it and everything, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where I need to, take a little bit of time out and kind of absorb everything that has actually happened. It's really recent. They're still filming the Nukem High movie right now. And, all this happened, 3 weeks ago, or, a month ago, to where I'm, still in shock, That's why, I sometimes I'll disable my Facebook pages for a while and just want to, drop out because I'm like, God, what am I going to do about this mess? It's just, horrible. So, I'm definitely not going to run off with these guys' money. I'm gonna shoot them something. I just don't know what it is yet, and before I decide what it is, I'm just gonna wait and just. I had some guys giving me some ideas last night on what I should do, and I was like, I don't know if I could do that for $1,500. And the more I think about it, I'm like, well, I guess it just depends on what kind of movie I make, and how I shoot it. And it's like, as long as I'm not flying in people from LA or, Minnesota or Chicago, and if I shoot it at, locations that I don't have to pay for and I don't have, expensive, budget, then, who knows? I mean, some people can make a feature for a couple grand. It's one of those things where, I learned so much with Jessica Rabbit where, if I had the money, if I had the original $5,000 that I had for Jessica Rabbit, knowing what I know now, I would save so much money because I was just kind of just going by, I did not know what I was doing. I'd been on a couple of movie sets and, a lot of my good friends were producers and they told me that I was good at producing. So I believed them, and I thought I could do it, and eventually I did do it. But, now it's I went to film school, and it's okay, well, with that original $5,000, I would have shot Jessica Rabbit this way, and, cut out all these expenses and cut out all these other things. So, a movie like Jessica Rabbit technically could be made for $5,000, I mean, the distribution that I did personally, where I printed discs and all that, and I had to pay for artists to do covers and stuff, that part was pretty expensive in itself. And, when you're shooting the movie, you're not thinking about, the post-production costs like that. And so, I didn't even know. So that's why I'm saying, it started out as a $5,000 movie and ended up being $25,000-$30,000. And, it definitely doesn't look like a $30,000 movie, even. I mean, it's not supposed to. It's supposed to look like a grand house, dirty movie.
Right.
And so that works for it. And a lot of the errors that we had then, accidents that happened a lot of the reviewers think we did it on purpose, and I laugh, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, thank God we did it at Grindhouse, because it's so forgiving, like so many mistakes that normally we would be getting criticized for.
Oh, yeah.
They actually are like, oh, the way they did this editing was so great. And I'm just like thinking, like, oh, they have to save that scene, like, you know, some of the scenes I can't even watch because I'm like, oh, like, how did this end up like this? Right. And like the reviewers are like, oh, those blurry shots when they're driving are epic, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm so glad you think so.
Right on. That's awesome that your fans have something else to look forward to you doing. So that's very, very cool. Not only that, but we know that you kind of moonlight as an exotic dancer. We're just curious. Do you have any funny or weird stories from your experiences working as a dancer that?
Yeah, I was actually thinking that. Well, I was going over your questions, because I know I've been a dancer for so long that I've seen a lot of things and funny things, but
right.
The thing that sticks out the most right now is a recent thing that happened where I was at work and I danced for this guy, and he owed me $20, and he only wanted to give me 10, and he was like an older man, like just this little old man. I mean, he was like in his 50s, but, you know, he looked old to me. And anyways, he didn't want to pay me. And so I was about to go get a manager, and I guess he started cursing at me and calling me names. And so another one of the customers heard him name-calling, and I guess he looks at me and he goes, I'm going to get your money for you. And he goes to this guy, and he's like, you know you're not supposed to talk to the ladies like this, right? And like they started fighting, and this guy, his intent was to help me and get my money, goes to swing at this old guy, and he misses and punches me right in the chest.
Oh.
And I was like his first punch, you know, I took the money back, and then, you know, I ran away, and it ended up to be this gigantic brawl. And this guy was like one punch away from, you know, being in a hospital bed. He was like basically going to be on a respirator. The guy that actually punched me, he goes, here, I got your money. And he hands me half of a 50. It ripped in half, and I grabbed it. At first, I looked at it, and I was like, God damn it, it's only half. And I looked on the ground, and I saw the other half of the 50. So I picked it up, and then I went in the dressing room, and I was trying to leave. And the manager comes in, and he's like, oh, you can't leave yet. The cops are coming, and they want a statement. And he's like, did you end up getting your money? And I was like, I got this 50, but it's ripped in half. And he just freaking taped it, and he gave it to me. So basically, I just look at it as I took a punch for $50.
Hilarious.
Well, at least you got some money out of it.
Yeah, I know, right? All over $10 too. Like, it makes you wonder, like, why would somebody? I don't think that guy will ever.
How do you go to a strip club and not expect to spend some money?
What the? Yeah, like.
I think he was really drunk. He'd been there for a while, but still, it was like only 10. It's not like I was like trying to say he owed me 50. He only owed me $10, and he was just like. You know, some people I have no idea. They're just rude like that.
I don't walk into a strip club expecting to do anything other than empty my bank account. That's why I usually don't walk in unless I have that frame of mind, you know. I mean, now I'm curious, what is it like you know, transitioning from indie horror films into the world of adult entertainment? A lot of your fans know that you're kind of making that transition now. What's that like? How is that like for you?
Right now, it's kind of also relief because I feel like financially I've been burned so bad with the movie that like I just need a way to compensate my finances. And I'm like, well, damn it, you know, it's almost like for the reason I got into dancing in the first place. It was because my dad had died and my sister got left like a huge chunk of money and I got zero. And so I was 18 and I was like, you know what, screw this. My sister got all this money and so I'm going to go dance to make up for the money I didn't get. So that's kind of it's a mirror of what is happening now, and it's like I feel like I've gotten so burned from Jessica Rabbit in particular that like there has to be a way for me to make that money back. And I know that with the fans out there that really, you know, they only bought Jessica Rabbit to see my boobs or frontal nudity anyway.
Right.
That this might be a good way to get at least back to a point where I could pay back my investors and, you know, have a little bit of money. And just, like, not be suffering at the end of the day. And, you know, being a dancer, you know, I'm not, like, totally an alien to the adult industry. You know, dancing technically is in that category. Yeah, it is kind of strange. And I actually didn't know anything about the webcamming business, and I've been researching it for the past couple of weeks. And it's like, you just realize, like, how many weirdos are actually out there. And I think to myself, you know what, any guy that writes to me at Facebook who's like, hey, or they like this, you know, they could be one of those weirdos too. So who knows, you know, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, it's not like I'm going into full-blown pornography. It's like, you know, web shows. So basically we're going to, you know, start out slow and, you know, see it where it goes. Right. But, I mean, yeah, it's like you're asking me a question. I don't really have the answer yet, although I can tell you that, you know, I'm feeling relieved that I at least have that outlet, and I'm still young, and I look better now. I actually look better than I did in Just Rabid, which is like, you know, as you get older, usually you look worse. And I think in my case, I'm, like, looking better as I get older for some reason. And so we're going to take advantage of that, and hopefully, I just hope that, you know, there's enough fans that have loyalty to me that, you know, they're not going to just think, like, oh, she's sold out to the porn industry. And it's like, really not like that. I'm just trying to, like, get some money here because, as I've learned, there really is no money in being a cult movie icon, like you were calling me earlier. And I thought about that, and I was like, you know, yeah, cult status doesn't buy you anything. You know, so this might be a way to kind of exploit my cult status in a way. To like at least get some money, and that's pretty much at the end of the day what I need right now.
Yeah, well, we've actually talked to a few you know, people that have done cult movies in the past, and you're right. I mean, unless you really truly just stay in the limelight with conventions and shit, it's really hard to make money doing it. So I mean, you know, that's awesome, and you look fantastic. You're young, you know, you're in the prime of your life. You look beautiful, and there's nothing wrong with doing what you're doing, so that's fantastic. When can your fans look forward to seeing you perform?
Probably going to be sometime within the next couple of weeks here. I mean, I just had a friend give me some money today to pay for, you know, the startup cost. It's basically a high-speed internet connection, and like other than that, you know, some props and just getting my hair and nails done. We're ready to go. So, I mean, I almost, you know, to be honest, I was almost considering doing a, like, short notice webcast tonight, you know, but, like, my internet, I still don't have high speed, and it comes and it goes where, like, I'll have really good internet service for, like, a few days, and then it'll just drop out for a couple of days, then it'll be back again. And so, like, yesterday I was like, oh, well, we should do one tomorrow night for my birthday, and we'll just do this. And now I'm so glad we didn't because my internet connection, like, completely went out, like, a couple of hours ago. That's why I couldn't even get online to, like, look at your questions. So I was like, I didn't copy and paste them in the notepad. Now I can't get on the internet. I can't read the questions. I actually could remember a lot of them and most of them, and actually did get back on the internet long enough to go back over them before you called. So it ended up working out. But, yeah, good thing we're no web show tonight. But, you know, it could be in a week. Most likely it'll be towards the end of September.
Awesome. That's so cool. Very, very cool.
Thank you.
So now I'm just curious, do you plan to just do cam shows from now on, or would you possibly be open to, you know, other adult roles in the future?
I was talking to my boyfriend about this earlier. And, you know, in order to do porn, you know, the only person I'd be able to do it with would be him.
Right.
You know, and it's like I wouldn't feel comfortable having sex with anyone else and not consider it cheating unless it was like for like a life-changing amount of money, which that would not happen. You know, I'm not Octomom. I'm not like some you know, crazy celebrity that everyone's going to pay like $1 million to do a porno. That's just not going to happen. I'd probably make like $5,000 or something, and that wouldn't really be worth it. I wouldn't risk my relationship over something like that. So like, yeah, unless I was doing it with my own boyfriend, I probably would not do regular porn. Yeah, I mean.
Right on.
Pretty much the answer.
Well, you know, honestly, you have enough fans and enough followers that I would say 100,000 people, you know, God willing for you, logging in and paying to see your shows would.
I'm sure there's some weirdo out there somewhere that would be willing to watch you sit on balloons or something.
I think so too. Like there's foot fetish guys. I mean, you know, I've been watching a lot of these web shows, and like there's this one girl, and all she does is oil up her boobs, and she makes a lot of money. And I'm like, well, all I have to do is put baby oil on my boobs for an hour a day. That's good money right there.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. Right on. Where can your fans stay up to date with Elske McCain news? I know you're on Facebook and Twitter. You got a website and stuff, or where can they go?
Definitely my Twitter Facebook is good. Also, I have like a lot of pages. I mean, if the first main one is filled, you can always subscribe to me. I still have a little bit of space left at the second page. It's running low, though. And then the fan page, anyone can go on there. My Twitter, obviously. Twitter kind of limits you to characters or whatnot. Right now, the website that we're going to direct people to see the web shows is the Elite Webcam Agency.com.
Nice.
So that is basically where we're going to hit up. And I think that's pretty much all of them.
Nice. Wonderful.
And
cool.
it's also on Twitter as Elite Web Agency. So,
cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, for being on the program with us. At the end of every interview that we do, we like to do a little thing we call this or that. So, basically, when I say go, I'm gonna pull up my thing here. When I say go, you will basically I'm going to give you this or that questions, and you can literally answer either one or whatever comes to mind, okay? And I'm going to we're going to go for 60 seconds, and we're going to see how many we can do. Okay. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, ready, and here we go. Thongs or boy shorts?
Thongs.
Nice. Regular or decaf?
Regular.
Perfect. Let's see. Thin crust or deep dish?
Thin crust.
Awesome. Tops or bottoms?
Tops.
Nice. Bagels or toast?
Bagels.
Pasties or tassels?
Tassels.
Knives or chainsaws?
Definitely knives.
Nice. Beer or liquor?
Liquor.
Cool. Whips or chains?
Chains.
Blondes or brunettes?
Brunettes.
Taco Bell or McDonald's?
Taco Bell.
Yes. Awesome. Hip hop or rock and roll?
Rock and roll.
Cool. And Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
Awesome. That's perfect. Cool. All right, Elske, thank you so much for being on the program. We really enjoyed having you here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Elske McCain. Follow her on Facebook and Twitter. And thank you so much again for being here. We really enjoyed having you on.
Having you. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome on the program anytime to promote your stuff. And thank you so much. We'll talk to you very soon.
You have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.